Hey folks, so Lori here from Found Florist Farm. I'm an artist. I'm a floral artist and I make jewelry as well. I do wedding work and I wanted to start showing some tutorials more and more because people have been asking me how I do my work. And I had recently done a show down on Main Street and the response was really phenomenal. So this is for any beginner out there or person who just needs a new technique or trick. And I am not sure where it originated from. I've seen many videos using stamps like this. These are like stamps they use for scrapbooking. And so I wish I could give the original person credit. I don't know who it was because I've seen it many places. Anyway, if you're new to polymer clay, that's one of the things I use for some of my artwork. And you have leftover, don't ever throw it away because you could use it to make all sorts of things. And even when it's mixed together a gajillion times, it turns into something that looks like mustard or fall colors. And you can do so much with it. Like this was left over. It's not done. It's not even baked right now. It has some liquid clay on it. This is a bracelet I'm working on here. And that was using leftover clay that I mixed them all together. And it made this yellowy color. And I put some glitter, some shimmer on there. So here we go. Number one, take your leftover clay. You're going to need the following ingredients. I'm going to show you a couple steps. Again, you don't have to have a lot of money to do this. Leftover clay, you're going to use a stamp if you have any. If you don't, you could certainly bake it and then use like a Sharpie and hand draw it. It doesn't have to be done with this. This is just a technique I had saw, and you need an ink pad if you're not going to use a Sharpie after it's baked. And you need some eyeshadow. Most of the people I know have eyeshadow. It doesn't have to be a name brand. It could be any kind of eyeshadow palette. Again, you don't have to use all the stuff I'm going to show you here, but the eyeshadow, some sort of acrylic paint of your choosing of colors that you like, if that's all you have. Another thing that you could use with this technique is alcohol ink, but right now I'm going to focus primarily on, I am going to use a stamp to show you, and these are earrings that were made with that technique. Really simple. They're kind of a matte finish. Here is a necklace I made with a more of a shiny technique, and it was using UV resin. Okay, so that's another way. You can also use a paint on gloss. This doesn't give it as three-dimensional of a look, but it's really nice and it's shiny, but they also have a matte version. Easy peasy. Are you ready? Because I am. Take your leftover clay, number one. Number two, either roll it out with a roller like you make cookies or a pasta machine. Okay, so stick this bad boy in, put it on your highest setting, give it a twirl. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. Okay, give it a twirl. It's going to be, relatively thick. That was a 9, which is the thickest setting. I'm bringing it down to an 8. And then I'm going to bring it down a little bit farther. I don't want these really thick because I have, I think I'll make just a simple pendant. I'm not going to make an earring. I thought I was going to make 2 earrings, but I'll take a little too long. And I don't want to make just one right now. I just want to show you this technique. Okay. Very cool fall color. Again, this is using leftover clay. It has some glitter in it. It's got some mica bits in it. It's everything under the sun is in it. Are you with me still? I hope so. Now, number 2. It's about as thick. It's a little less. It's like maybe the thickness of a quarter. Nah. Yeah, about the thickness of a quarter. Then an ink pad. This is not a long process. I happen to use an acrylic block. I don't always clean my stuff the way I should. But if you didn't have an acrylic block, you could just press it down with like a rolling pin, but it might not be even pressure. You could take your ink pad and go this way, or you could do it this way and press it down. Okay, just make sure that you put even pressure and try not to wobble if you do use acrylic block, so you don't get it all over the edges like I do half the time. I'm not paying attention. All right, now you're going to place it on your clay. Try not to wiggle it. That is, I mean, if you do, you can still use it, but now, even pressure. 1, 2, 3, press. I'm pressing really hard. Really, really hard, but don't wiggle, okay? Except my camera's wiggling because my table's wiggling and it shouldn't be attached where it is. All right, wiggle. We have a really old house. It was built like almost 300 years ago and nothing is plumb, level, or square. And then try to lift it straight up. Okay, the harder you press, the better it'll go down. The thinner it is, the harder it is to get an impression. That doesn't mean you can't use it if it doesn't have a deep impression. It just means you have more chance of things bleeding out the edges. I'm going to press down these centers because these centers, I'm going to put a little dabble of paint in there, and I don't know, maybe later I'll put a gem, I'm not sure, but if I don't, at least I have that pressed down a little bit. All right, number 2. This is so easy, but I love it. Take your eyeshadow. They're shimmery. They're mica powder. Your leaves, I love picking a color that's sort of turquoisey, maybe a green, and you know, just give your leaves a little bit of a oomph, okay? I love shimmer. As most people who know me, they know I like things that glitter. So I actually wet with a little bit of water the paint brush a little bit so it sticks better to the mica powder. Then I go on my leaves and I paint in. It's literally like painting, like in the lines. I guess when you were like, 3, 4, 5 years old and you said color in the lines, that's all you're doing, coloring in your lines. It bakes really pretty too. Depending on the color of the clay, it will leave, obviously a different look. So this to me, this looks like lavender to me. So it's almost like rosemary. The herb rosemary, the leaves are needle-like, and it doesn't take a lot to get it in there. But the cool thing is with this impression, and again, whoever you were, the first person who did this, I don't know who you were in the world, but kudos to you. Wasn't me. I can't take any credit for whoever came up with the idea of stamping clay. But it will help anybody who's not an artist. I shouldn't say not an artist, because that's anybody who feels that they can't draw. Okay, again, art is a perception of what you enjoy, right? There's abstract art that, people are like, how is that art? It's art because somebody out there loves it. And my favorite author, I saw an interview with him. That's a shout out to R.A. Salvador, by the way, who writes the Drizzt novels. Anyway, I saw a great interview, and one of the words he said in it was, he would never publicly say anything against somebody else's craft, because somebody out there loves it, no matter what it is, like giving somebody a bad review or saying that it's not good enough or, what have you. But I always believe that any artist in the world should have credit. And if you don't think your art is good enough, keep doing it. Believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, you know what? Somebody's going to love your art. And, abstract art is beautiful too. So find what makes you happy. So I just did a little bit of purple. I just took literally purple eyeshadow and I stuck that on there. I'm going to show you. So now I used purple and I used a green mica powder. I'm now going to switch to acrylic, okay? I want you to see I have a white acrylic and a lavender, and I am going to do the petals in acrylic. I'm just dotting them on. That's all I'm doing, little dots. You can do this if you are new at doing jewelry making and you want to get involved with any kind of art. This is such a great way to feel some confidence. I did little dots. I'm just dotting it in with a fine, you know what? You know the thing is, your paintbrush matters. I'm not saying that you have to buy the most expensive paintbrush out there. I'm just saying make sure you have a paintbrush that's small enough. Because if you don't, you're going to have issues because it's, and if it has frayed needles or whatever, brush stroke, you know, the little tiny, you know, hairs, it'll be harder for you to paint something that is more precise. So now that I've done that, I'm just gonna give them a little white center. I'm just off camera. I'm just drying off my brush so it doesn't dilute it. So I just took a little white paint, put it on the tip, and I'm just dotting in the middle. Dot, dot, dot. I could come back later and do gems in there, like a preciosa, like a little gemstone or a little, you know, little rhinestones, to give it a little shimmer. Or I could do some, you know, fine glitter, which I absolutely love in pieces. Some people don't. They think it looks like Christmas ornaments, but I love it. I love sparkle because I think it looks magical. That's all there is to it. I used acrylic paint and I used some eyeshadow. Now I'm going to show you one more thing, which is alcohol ink. So purple is a really fabulous color. And I wanted to give some shadowing in here, and I just wanted to have a little bit more of an interest to this piece. I could take some alcohol ink and just do like blotching, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's not hard at all. Let's see what color I'm going to pick for this. So I have a little bit of what I call dandelion left, and purple and yellows. They tend to kind of look really nice together. So I'm just going to put right here. I don't need much. Literally, I'm almost out of it, but I can just get that one little dot. I'm going to use it up on this project. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to take a little bit. I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of the orange. Okay. And I just want to give some highlights behind here. I know it looks subtle, but what I'm doing is ever so faintly showing you that you could just give some some shadows to an area. Now, I'm going to show you. I'll come back in. I'm taking the purple that I had like a purple, it's called boysenberry. And if I just wanted to give it a little, what I call a wash, okay, I could come back. It dries really fast, any kind of alcohol ink. And I wanted to come in and give them some little highlights. I could do that. Brush it out. You know, it just, if you didn't want that brighter yellowy color that was the base clay, alcohol ink diluted down can give you some really nice effects. And a little goes a long way. So you could use from the dollar store some regular alcohol to dilute this down. And there, look at how that changed. So I left this to show you now that it has two different colors. It has See how it just gave it like a different type of a hue, kind of a smoky hue. There. It's really pretty. Really nice. Now, these flowers that are here, okay, if I wanted them to have a little bit of pop or a little bit of shimmer, you know, you have a special occasion, I could take something like a little bit of this opalescent, this is called blush, rose, or I have this purpley amethyst sparkle, and I could come back in. Okay, let me just show you. I like to show different techniques because I think that it inspires other people. Sometimes I'll actually put it in my hand, and then I will take my fingers and it will just ever so, like, I thought, oh, I want to give it a little shimmer around the flower to sort of accentuate just around where those purple flowers are. There we go. And give it a little bit of shimmer. And when it comes out, I can glaze it, and then it'll just in the light be a little shimmery. Maybe I'll put a little shimmer up here. And then in different lighting, it'll just be so pretty. I could take my brush and, you know, kind of go back in, take a little bit more paint. If I was feeling like it wasn't dark enough, I could go back in with a little more paint. You could layer it, right? So you could come back in and you could just layer it on a little bit thicker. Again, these are great because you could just do dots. Okay, little dots. Whoop. And then I could go back in, a little white. Boop, boop, boop. There, that's pretty. I'm happy with that. That was a project. We made that in, you know, not much time at all. The clock right now says 17 minutes from the moment I started talking, and I can now take my blade and I can do some different shape. I can make like a, you know, a pendant. Okay, so let's come in here. I definitely shape before I bake. I don't just bake and then shape. It's hard. It's really kind of hard to do that. So I'm gonna make my little pendant. I'm gonna do a leaf. I think I'm gonna do a leaf shape. Kind of. There, it's pretty. Imagine that as like 2 fairy wings. If I was making like a flower fairy, I could turn this into like a fairy wing. I'm gonna just give this another little curve right there. Okay, take that off. And then I could shape this however I wanted, right? Organic shapes are not perfect. I tend to use cookie cutter, or what I call cookie cutters, sometimes, but a lot of times I like the organic feeling of a blade, of making my own, because then I feel like I am in control of the cool shape. You don't have to. I definitely, if you're gonna try to want to have like identical pieces, then obviously use a cookie cutter like that. And then we can take this and we can put it on our baking tray, or you can put it on, I have a cake pan over here that I stole from my cooking supplies, and that'll get baked, and then it'll be turned into a pendant that looks something like this. I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial. So fun. Absolutely fun. So next time, take care now.